Hello and welcome to lesson 79 of the Learning Guitar series. In this particular lesson, we're going to continue our studies of inversions and triads. And in particular, we're going to look at spaced triads. If you remember, in lesson 78, we looked at string group 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. In this case, as you will see in the PDF, we're looking at instead triads which are spread across several different strings. Let's look at the PDF straight away. So as you can see, in this case, we're looking at string group 1, 3, 4. So basically, we're skipping string 2. And as usual, we have major triads, minor triads, diminished triads, augmented triads. This is followed by string group 2, 4, 5. And in this case, basically, we're skipping string 3. And same thing, all four families of triads. String group 3, 5, 6, major, 3, 5, 6, minor, 3, 5, 6, diminished, 3, 5, 6, augmented. Then we have even more spread with string group 2, 3, 6. So, we have basically a bass note and two kind of melodic and harmonic kind of notes on string 2 and 3. And again, major, minor, diminished, and augmented. 1, 2, 5. So string 1, string 2, string 5. And again, as you will see very soon, this is very useful, especially when playing solo guitars, as you still have like a bass note going and also some melodic notes on top. String group 1 to 5, diminished and augmented. Now, as you can see, it doesn't seem like a lot of material, but actually it is. Because when it comes to spaced string groups, suddenly we have some quite demanding stretches. Like, look at this, for example, in order to achieve these inversions. So they're not all that simple and require quite a bit of practice in terms of muscle memory of them. What I'm getting to is that some of these inversions require quite a bit of a stretch. Let's take this, for example, where basically you have the second inversion of a major triad. And as you can see, like this is extending across two tones from here to here, and then down here you have the third note. And so you have to be careful in terms of if you feel any pain in your wrist, absolutely take a stop and break. I mean, it's not vital that you know how to play these things. As you will see in a second, there are some shapes that comes from spaced triads, which instead are very useful and actually very simple. But some of these actually, as I said, can be very spread. So if you feel any pain in your wrist, take a break. You definitely don't want to injure yourself. As we've done for a previous lesson, we can practice this material in two different ways. One is horizontal, so we're taking the same, in this case, E triad. We're playing, from the root, first inversion, second inversion, and we can take a G, we can take a B. The finger patterns are going to be the same. Or, even more interestingly, we can play them vertically, so we're actually staying in the same area of the neck. For example, in this case, we're going to do E, G, B here in this area. I'll show you on the guitar. So you might perform it this way. So here you have E from the root note, first inversion, and here is the stretched one, second inversion. As you can see, spaced triads have a very interesting sound because it's a bit like a piano player playing a triad across two different octaves, as opposed to close voicings. If we perform it in the same area, you end up with something like this. This is E. This is G. This is B. So you have this kind of sound. And again, it's very, very interesting sounds. Let's go back to the PDF. The thing I want you to pay particular attention, actually, when it comes to string groups, and this is actually the simple one, This is going to form the basis for a lot of the material of the last lesson, which, part 4 of this triads and inversions. And it's these shapes here, literally front root. In this case, he played this way, and obviously transposed, it would be here for G, and transposed would be B for here. But in particular, is this shape. And what we want to learn is how to move from root position major to root position minor to root position diminished to root position augmented. And you want to do this for all string groups. What I mean on the guitar, so as I said, some of these positions are rather stretched. So, some of you might use them, some of you might find it too hard. But instead of this particular shape, in this case I'm going to do it in G. This is actually fairly simple. So you want to see the sequence. You can start from augmented if you want and go, okay, this is G augmented. Here is the augmented 5th. Major, minor, diminished. Because the next lesson, we're definitely going to look at this material, triads and inversions, both the spreaded voicings and the closed voicings we did in previous lesson, and this time applied it to the harmonization of the major modes, minor melodic modes, minor harmonic modes, and these particular shapes are going to come really handy, in particular for some of etudes that we might want to do, say for example, like apply to things like All the Things You Are. These kind of ideas, right? We're going to look at all these things in details in the next lesson, but nevertheless, at this stage, I need you to take the root positions, so these ones, this particular shape. So if you do it in E, follow this page, then move to this shape in the next page, so for minor, then this for diminished, and this for augmented. Same thing, next string group, you're going to have the root position is here, so again, we're doing it in E, and you have major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Same thing for the following string groups. So basically you're looking at always at the root position, because the first inversion and second inversion will wind up being too much of a stretch. Nevertheless, for those that want, those of you that want to kind of push a little bit in terms of what it sounds like using a kind of stretched position in order to achieve a certain type of inversions. Sometimes, especially when you have a single note in the bass, so for those bass triads which have a bass note on the 5th string or on the 6th string, you can get interesting kind of sound. Have a look at this, for example. This is E, second inversion. So this is E major, and the first note here is the 5th. Which is an interesting sound. And when I move this to G, now G becomes G first inversion. So the third is in the bass. And B is from the root. And as you can see, these three chords, so like E, G, and B, all major, I can perform them with a pedal of B. As you noticed, the note B here hasn't changed. So you have this kind of sound, let's say. And as you can see, you can derive some very interesting harmonic progressions, very creative in a way, and not the usual what comes normal on the guitar. Let's put it that way. On the guitar, if you saw E, G, and B as a progression on a page, automatically you will think of this, right? Instead, this is an interesting way of looking at it. And of course, you would have all the inversions. So don't want to make this particular lesson too long, although the material will require a bit of time. So I just want to recap what I would like you to do in preparation for, in particular in preparation for the last lesson regarding triads and inversions. So first and foremost, try and see what you can get in terms of practicing all these spreaded groups horizontally. See how far you can go in terms of handling this particular type of stretches. And they're a bit everywhere. You will see like this, for example, for a minor version, etc. More importantly, study the root position ones. So this particular shape, but major, minor, half diminished, and augmented for each string group. Okay, that's the important part. Those are the ones that definitely you will use in your playing. Practice horizontally, practice vertically, if you don't mind the stretches. And last but not least, I mean, I'm using EGB as an excuse for you to be able to practice all three inversions. I mean, the root position and the two inversions in the same areas of the neck, like I did in the previous lesson. But this doesn't mean that you cannot take any chord progression of any song that you might have written or a song that you're covering and try and resolve it by using only triads and inversions in order to, facilitate voice leading. We discussed this last lesson. I mean, the fact that you're using always the same group of strings in the same area of the neck, by moving very few notes, it gives you voice leading on one side and tone consistency also. Like, we know that the guitar can play the same note in different spots, unlike a piano, but of course the tone of that note is different. So when you're using the same string groups, and that's the trick about these things, is that you also have consistency of tone. So, as you can see in these three chords, this note is actually not going anywhere. It's common to all three chords. This second voicing is playing this. And now you see what I mean by voice leading. So these two voices are literally moving like this. And the third voice is playing this, and this, and this. So you have this melody. This is what I mean by voice leading. So combined, you have this kind of sound. Very different then. I hope it makes sense. These are very interesting studies and gonna make like you harmonizing chords on a guitar way more interesting. Different, actually, probably I should not say way more interesting. There is nothing wrong with strum guitar and big chords. Again, it's vocabulary, very large vocabulary. Also, you can look at these three notes as a three-part harmony. So for those of you that like to arrange beside playing guitar, you can think of these three notes are three notes on a guitar, three notes played on simultaneously on a piano, anyway, any polyphonic instruments. Or you can look at this as three different instruments. So like maybe once you arrange it, this becomes, I don't know, a cello, a viola, and a violin. Trombone, saxophone, and trumpet. Three backing vocals, all these kind of ideas. This is basically a three-part harmony. Anyway, I don't want to throw too much stuff in there, but it's food for thoughts. I hope it makes sense. As always, thank you for the support. And, if you have any questions, just let me know. And until next time, thank you. Bye.